Hello everyone and welcome back to the Artist Way Week 6 recap. I did my morning pages once and I was a very busy girl this week. You may have noticed we have moved inside this week to the plant room. That is because it's very hot outside. Let's get into it. This week we talked about money and how money can be kind of a false creative block for us. I'll do that piece of art when I have enough money to do it. Always going to be chasing that sort of thing. We also talked about our ideas, money in relation to creativity, and how a lot of us have the held belief that money must be earned through hard work, and obviously is how most people earn money. So this is kind of like shifting the narrative of imagine if you could make money off of doing artsy things. And then she goes in to talk about a film studio head who spent his entire life like working really hard and trying to get famous basically, and at some point he realizes that his passions have become hobbies, and he has kind of this lackluster for his life. Overworking yourself can be just as dangerous as not taking your work seriously enough. She talked about, as artists, how we kind of live in this artistic anorexic state of being to where we deprive ourselves of stability. I mean, stability really sums it up, but happiness and luxury of taking our time and enjoying life and everything. Artists kind of deprive themselves of that because, like we talked about last week, that becomes a source for their creativity, their trauma and hardship. So yeah, we talked about authentic luxury. So like buying raspberries for $1 and then putting them on your yogurt, your cereal, or having them, putting them on your ice cream at the end of the day. It's something that only costs $1, but can be a source of authentic luxury in your life. Another example is like a magazine subscription, something that elevates your life a little bit in an authentic way. I think the word authentic is what's key here. We become blocked. A lot of people become blocked because of money. And we blame it on money. But money is not really the root or the source of the block, but the feeling of instability, the lack of control is the actual reason for the money block when it comes to art. If you feel like you're too busy, you don't have enough control over your life to create art. So you have to choose to do self-care in tiny ways that are real for you, not forced upon you. The things that you actually do enjoy. It can be as simple as buying yourself strawberries or raspberries. And for me this week, I bought myself a laptop. I got a really good deal on it. I had amount of money saved up for next year's part of it's for next year's taxes. I put in how much my laptop would be traded in for. It was like $76. So I think it was time for a new laptop. And I'm on a film right now, and I am doing a lot more editing, and I need a lot more RAM. I mean, the amount of RAM I have, about good enough for somebody who surfs the internet. I got laptop off back market, 35 gigabytes RAM. I got a really good deal on it, which is making me a little bit nervous because it's not supposed to get here until next Friday. That is something, first of all, I can write it off because it's like something I probably should have bought last year for myself. That will give me kind of that authentic luxury that she's talking about. I'm just meeting my needs. Creative work, not even just my artist, but this laptop will make my life a lot easier. Is maybe a little bit more expensive than the $1 raspberries, but something that I did for myself this week as a form of self-care. And also just protecting my brain. Do you know how frustrating it is to be trying to edit a 1 minute on your computer and it can't keep up? Choosing to do self-care and choosing to not live this artistic anorexia, working at your detriment, working yourself to your detriment, denying yourself of these luxuries. Like with the studio head, she also said the luxury of time. Like he has all of the common basic luxuries of like fancy cars, fancy houses, money, denies himself the ability to live his life. What are the things that I can do that are self-care that are really cheap? So I can like drink my water, I can take a shower, take a vitamin, I can feed myself lunch, enjoy, like a coffee. This week I was kind of like asked to put that into action, I think, and I didn't do very well. I'm transferring a lot of footage right now, so it kind of feels like I'm always on the clock. I guess I'll get into next week already. We are excavating creative desires, things that we want to do creatively. We're learning to listen to ourselves. So we do our morning pages to help us filter our thoughts, and then in our artist states to listen. Coming up with something versus getting something down, and how when we say we need to come up with something, it puts a lot more pressure on us versus to get something down. Because when we get something down, it's more of an engaging our listening process. We're listening to a source versus us being the source. Phrasing things like that, even just in our vocabulary and when we're talking about our creative work, can help shift the mindset from being all of this pressure on us. The brush takes the next stroke. Michelangelo, in his statue of David, he says that the statue was always there. He had to just carve away the pieces for it. Jackson Pollock saying, painting has a life of its own. It's your job to make it, let the light shine through, or life shine through, or something like that. That's not a direct quote. So much spam. Anyways, an intuitive voice. Try this, do that, say this. So learning to listen to that intuitive voice and to take leaps, do things that we wouldn't normally see ourselves doing. You can think of it like radio waves. Creative ideas are bouncing off of each other and through the air like radio waves, and it takes somebody who's prepared and listening and tuned in to the proper channel to be able to pick it up. I feel like it was really boring this week. Kitties are doing good. Plants are doing good. I feel like I need to go buy some new clothes because I don't know. What am I wearing? This is from Five Below. I'm ready for summer to start. I forgot to mention what I'm drinking today. I feel like that's become a staple. Black coffee. No creamer. This week I'm going to watch the last episode of The Rehearsal. I saw the last episode of The Studio and the last episode of The Last of Us. Really kind of like in a media drought. Also, I finished Lost. Girl can buy 2 terabytes of iCloud storage and it doesn't mean a thing. Time to love again.